Hello and welcome to this episode of the Eryri podcast. I'm Dafydd Williams and I'll be hosting today's episode, which is based on recreation, leisure and learning, which is one of our special qualities here in Eryri National Park. And I'm joined today by our guest, Dafydd Williams. Croeso, welcome to the podcast. How are you today, Dav?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I've had a nice little run before we start this morning. So
good, that's the way to do it. Get out and enjoy the outdoors while you can, while the weather's good. So I think for our listeners, could you just give us a bit of an introduction really into who is Dafydd Williams and, what do you do in terms of, work and hobbies which relates to recreation in the National Park?
Yeah, I'm Dafydd Williams. I'm originally from Sir Fôn, Anglesey. Came over to live in Bethesda about 6-7 years ago now maybe, and found that my heart was in the hills, and I'm a joiner by trade, so I work on Anglesey, and I just spend my spare time as much as I can up in the hills, either running, walking, climbing, you name it, anything I can do up in the hills. Yeah. Great.
So you spend a lot of your time out in the outdoors, in Eryri in particular. Is there a particular hobby that would you say is your favourite? I know you're quite a keen runner these days.
Yeah, I'd say it's running. So I started with hiking, walking around, and I wanted to see more as much as I could in as little time as I could. And I just started running more and more and enjoyed that.
So it's quite a popular industry, I would say, these days, isn't it? The sort of running industry in the mountains. Is there what sort of attracts you to running, and why do you think it's such a popular activity here in Eryri?
It's popular. I'm a member of Eryri Harriers.
Yeah.
There's a couple of fell running clubs or mountain running clubs. The terrain's difficult to run on. It makes things interesting, I suppose. A lot of different technical things to do as well. Ridge running, things like grip goch or going up Tryfan. There's short things you can do very quickly, like I've done this morning up around Cynedlaethol, or there's big long days that you can do across the whole of the national park.
So it's one of those activities really, I suppose, if you're a beginner or quite experienced, there's something there for everyone in terms of that activity as well, then, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. It's an activity you can do on your own as well. With safety in mind, as long as you're not tackling things that are too difficult for you. You can just go out for 20 minutes, or you can go out for a full day of fun. Yeah. Really. Whereas other activities, i.e. climbing, you need a partner, so things just take a little bit longer, and so.
Okay, so recreation really, as I've mentioned, it is one of the special qualities of the national park, and that is for many reasons. Being able to get out, having access to the outdoors, particularly in Eryri, why is that important that we have access to the outdoors? To you in particular, what are the benefits?
I mean, everybody's got a different reason for being in the mountains, in the hills, in the countryside. My reasoning, it gets my mind away from the daily grind of work. I run my own business, it frees my mind of that. So whatever I'm doing, if I'm going up for a walk with my uncle or my mum or my wife, it gives me a time with them away from technology, and if I'm running on my own, my mind just runs away with itself, and I come up with some balmy ideas, and it gets me back on a level line. So that's what it is for me. I imagine that other people have got different reasons for being up in the hills.
Yeah, so it's quite important really that we protect, that access to the outdoors, and that we're all quite responsible when we're visiting the outdoors. Have you, got any pointers really, if you're looking to adventure out in the outdoors or take people with you, in what ways can you be responsible when you're visiting the outdoors?
So I think generally it is all open land to go on. I think it's important to try and stay to various paths that are there. There's important flora and fauna that are out there that we shouldn't trample on. I quite often come across bits of rubbish, things that not necessarily people have done on purpose, but things that have fallen out of bags, or things that people don't notice that they've dropped. And I think it's important to pick them things up and treat it like you would your own home. Keep it as nice and neat as you possibly can. Yeah,
great, because it's quite important really that we all help to protect Eryri and its special qualities, that we can all continue to benefit and enjoy for years to come, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, I think you mentioned earlier balmy ideas. I'm quite aware you've got a bit of a balmy challenge coming up this year, to take on a challenge to try and get the record for fastest known time, completing the Cambrian Way, which to me sounds completely balmy. Would be something I would like to take up as a challenge. But you do like a challenge, Dafydd. Can you explain to our listeners, firstly, what is the Cambrian Way? Why are you taking on this challenge?
So I'm hitting 40 in July, and I always wanted to do. When I used to go walking with my uncle, I told him, I'd love to go across the spine of Wales, and he gave me this book. He explained that there was a race in 1992 called the Dragon's Back, and he explained the route it went and everything. I found that's so interesting, and I thought, wow, it'd be cool to walk it, and then it sort of morphed into this running, because I got into running more and more. And it was actually, I devised this route down myself, and my brother-in-law had said to me, oh, is that the Cambrian Way? And I'd said, no, what's that? So I started looking at maps, and then I found it, and I thought, oh, this is perfect. There's a guidebook for it, and so that takes the safety elements and things. I've got a group of friends that are going to help me. So for my 40th, I just thought I'd set this challenge. We're going to raise money for mountain rescue. I think it's really, but I've got a lot of friends that are on the rescue crews here, and I think it's important to show the safety element of being in the hills. These guys, go out and they don't get paid for what they do, but the teams cost a lot to run.
Would you say, the Mountain Rescue Service, of course, is really important, particularly here in Eryri. We're aware mountain rescue are out on ample occasions throughout the year carrying out rescues. Would you say it's a bit of, a service that we take for granted, perhaps?
I think it is a service we take for granted. I don't think they shouldn't have to go out as much as they do. If people being in the right way of saying it, I think that people they're not aware of how weather can change as quickly up there, what clothing is right to wear up there, and again, from a running perspective, I go up in shorts and a t-shirt, and but I've had years and years of experience, so I can be up and down quickly. I'll check out routes first, escape routes if the weather changes quickly. But if people are coming from away, they're not aware of the change in weather and things as quickly as it can be here. I think education would be good for a lot more people that are coming here.
Definitely. So I think it's a bit of a responsibility for all of us, really, those who, we work in the outdoors in the national park, and if we're maybe taking friends out, that we do help to educate people to understand, you need to be planning ahead, like you say, checking the weather, making sure you've got the right equipment, and that you understand the route of the day, you're going to be comfortable with that route. So I do think it's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, very.
And like you say, then that can help take pressure off services like the mountain rescue, who are completely voluntary.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's great that you're taking on that challenge, but at the same time raising an awareness of such an important aspect of recreation in the outdoors and the mountain rescue. So that's brilliant. So something else I thought I would ask you, obviously the Cambrian Way, it does include a huge section of Eryri.
Yeah.
Do you have a particular part of Eryri National Park that you would say is your favourite area?
It changes, actually. Where my heart lies is the Cenedlaethol. I absolutely love it there. As living in Bethesda for 6-7 years, it's been my back garden. I go out from my back door and straight up onto the hills for a run, and so that is absolutely in my heart. But there's parts of the national park that even I, over 20 years, are still discovering. Fantastic. Driven down to watch the rugby in Cardiff, and driven early in the morning and gone past Dyma'r when the mist was over the lake. Oh, it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Going out for walks and things with my uncle and things, and he still takes me to places that I've undiscovered to me, which are just fantastic. Yeah, so there's something out there for everyone, and I think it's important that we do explore definitely
everywhere around Eryri, not just the typical hotspot areas that we've all heard of. Get out there and adventure, really, as long as you're mindful that you know where you're going, or to ask someone if you're not sure. Yeah,
these places are accessible. Not just places like Clywed and the Cenedlaethol from Ogwen. There's plenty of, the park's so big. You go down to the south, down to Dros. Me and my wife did that a few weeks ago, and it's nice to see how busy it's gone. I've not been down there to walk down there for 10 years. And it was so much busier now, which was great. It's nice to see people up there, sort of spreading the load a little bit more.
Yeah. Definitely. It's great to see. Obviously, the majority of people come here and they want to tackle it with that, which of course I completely understand why you'd want to. It is a fabulous mountain to tackle, but there are those other areas as well. And like I say, I think people are now starting to venture out across wider areas of the national park, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So I think that's all that we've got for today. I think we've covered some really interesting topics. It's been great chatting with you today, and hopefully our listeners have thoroughly enjoyed listening along as well. So I'd just like to thank you again for joining us. It's been great. Thank you, and that's all for today's podcast, and hopefully we'll see you again next time. Thank you.
Thanks.